Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the Exam Tower, operators. I'm your tower director, and today we're running a high-stakes emergency simulation for the Cambridge AS and A-Level Arabic Language 8680 exam. Specifically, we're guiding Passage 1 comprehension into a safe landing. You know, this is a sector of the exam where the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports tell us students just consistently lose altitude. The whole theoretical architecture of this paper rests on precise textual inference and really complex grammar structures, yet candidates frequently miss the mark. But today, we're going to fix that. We are locking on to the academic benchmarks that demand logical, structured reasoning, and we're prioritizing analytical depth over superficial breadth. So strap in, because this simulation is live.
Look at the heavy aircraft coming into your airspace right now. That is Passage 1. So, is it crashing your Arabic language grade? For way too many candidates, the answer is a very stressful yes. We're treating this 20-mark comprehension question like an incoming, heavy-payload aircraft that absolutely needs a safe landing under extreme time pressure. Cambridge expects you to show off specific learner attributes here, right? Confidence, responsibility, reflectiveness, innovation, and engagement. But honestly, when that clock is ticking, candidates just panic. They drop their structured reasoning, they completely lose their analytical depth, and their grades veer right off the runway. Our mission today is to teach you exactly how to manage that extreme time pressure and prioritize those high-yield marks so you can guide this response to a flawless touchdown.
To land this safely, you have to manage your fuel budget perfectly. Landing this 20-mark payload requires perfectly balancing two distinct tanks. You've got 15 marks allocated strictly for content and 5 marks allocated for quality of language. Think of those 15 content marks as your primary propulsion. This is the raw textual data, the systematic deconstruction of complex arguments extracted directly from the Arabic passage. You absolutely have to hit these points to keep moving forward. But what about those 5 marks for quality of language? Well, that's your stabilizer. If your Arabic formatting, vocabulary, and grammar are shaky, the whole aircraft wobbles, and you're going to lose critical points on the approach. You can't focus so heavily on the content that you let your language degrade, and you definitely can't write beautiful Arabic that completely misses the specific content points. You need total equilibrium.
Now, we typically see two types of operators failing this approach. First up, we have router Alex. Alex gets completely bogged down in minor, vague details. Instead of locking onto specific examiner requirements, Alex provides superficial breadth, essentially circling the airport in an infinite holding pattern without ever actually answering the core question. Then, on the other side of the radar, we have router Sam. Sam panics under the time pressure and clears the arguments for landing way too fast. Sam drops critical Arabic grammatical formatting, skips over textual evidence, and completely fails to verify the passage's true meaning. Both of these operators are heading for a crash, so we need to retrain both of them.
Section 2. Routing the approach vector. Let's take a quick look at the technical methodology.
I want you to lock these 5 steps into your memory bank as your standard operating procedure. Step 1. Identify the key elements from the stimulus materials. Always deconstruct the question first. Step 2. Apply the relevant principles. You need to select the correct analytical framework for what the question is actually asking you. Step 3. Execute your analysis with crystal clear, structured Arabic sentences. Step 4. Verify your results against the original text. Ask yourself, do they make logical sense in context? And finally, Step 5. Present your final answer in the appropriate format using correct terminology. Listen, if you sequence your paragraphs flawlessly through these 5 waypoints, you are never going to lose your approach vector again.
The crucial point here revolves around what we call the evidence strategy. Cambridge examiners actually award marks for accurately citing and contextualizing the Arabic text, not just for dropping a generic summary. If you rush to the end and just throw a conclusion onto the paper without showing the analytical steps you took to get there, you forfeit these critical method marks. Your examiner needs to see your radar track. They need to see exactly how you identified the textual elements, how you applied the grammar principles, and how you verified your interpretation. Showing your logical structured reasoning is quite literally the only way to secure the full tariff of marks and prevent those rushing errors that router Sam makes.
This syllabus essentially demands operators to act with the precision of an accountant, but with words. Every single point you extract has to be perfectly accounted for in your response. You aren't just writing some vague essay. You are extracting specific textual data, evaluating tone, and presenting it all with structural precision. Your Arabic syntax and grammar absolutely must follow strict conventions to secure these marks. You're evaluating performance and arguments systematically here. If the passage contains structured perspectives, your Arabic response has to respect those strict formatting conventions to secure those precious content marks.
Extending directly from that idea of precision, you must be incredibly careful with the weight of your words. It sounds like math, right? But in a language exam, when you're extracting points from passage 1, your vocabulary has to match the exact precision of the text. Dropping a key adjective or failing to carry over the exact nuance of a phrase from the Arabic text into your response literally drops your grade. It is a rigorous test of your attention to linguistic detail under intense pressure. You have to show exactly how you arrived at your understanding, and you absolutely must use the correct grammatical structures implied by the text.
Okay, let's take a quick breather and initiate a mid-flight tower transmission check. Before we clear this response for a final touchdown, I need to make sure your transponders are fully updated. Hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exams right now and turn on all notifications. If you want to keep receiving these high-level emergency simulation briefings, you need to be locked onto our frequency. Update your transponder, secure your connection, and let's get right back to the radar grid. We still have a payload to land.
Moving into Section 3, Clearing Runway Debris. Let's review the principal examiner warnings.
Here's the exact debris we are looking out for. These are the top 3 fatal mistakes. Number 1, answers are just too vague. Examiners explicitly state they want specific details. This is Reuter Alex's primary failure, right? Giving a general summary instead of precise analysis. Number 2, forgetting to verify the constraints. Actually, scratch that. It's more about forgetting to check your formatting and textual units. This is Sam's crashing point. Extracting a quote but completely forgetting the tone, the context, or the timeline attached to it in the Arabic text. And number 3, answers are not specific to the context given. You absolutely cannot use outside knowledge or generic definitions. Your analysis must be locked entirely onto the specific context of passage 1. If you veer off into generalities, you're going to slide right off the runway.
Now, here is your ultimate safeguard against those fatal mistakes. This is an official examiner alert. It says, candidates consistently confuse key terminology. Always define terms before using them in extended responses. Defining your terms is your emergency brake. Before you launch into a complex analysis of the text or start evaluating an argument, state exactly what the terminology means in the context of the Arabic passage. By doing this, you instantly prove your conceptual understanding, you secure those initial content marks, and you create a really solid, stable foundation for the rest of your extended response.
And finally, Section 4, Safe Touchdown. It's time for critical analysis and evaluation.
When the passage demands it, your comparative analysis has to be completely airtight. You can't just list facts side by side and hope for the best. You have to actively identify both similarities and differences. To navigate between these two concepts smoothly, you need to use strong Arab comparative connectives. Think of these connectives as your landing gear, bridging your observations together. Furthermore, every single comparison has to be supported by concrete evidence extracted directly from the text. Once you've built this comparison, you have to draw a conclusion about their relative importance. Which argument actually holds more weight? That is exactly how you demonstrate true analytical depth.
Let's see how this builds into the absolute highest level of evaluation. To evaluate the quality of evidence in Passage 1, you essentially have to play the role of an inspector. You need to identify the limitations of the author's arguments. Ask yourself, what's missing here? What assumptions has the author made? Are there any alternative interpretations of these exact same facts? And crucially, how do these limitations affect the final conclusions drawn in the text? When you can articulate these points clearly in high-quality Arabic, you are demonstrating the exact reflectiveness and innovation that Cambridge learner attributes demand. This is what secures the safest possible touchdown.
Doom! There it is, a flawless 20-mark landing sequence. By enforcing the procedural framework, perfectly balancing the 15 marks for content extraction with the 5 marks for precise language quality, and completely avoiding the fatal mistakes of vagueness and skipped formatting, our operators Alex and Sam have successfully navigated the approach. They deconstructed the question, they showed their textual evidence to get the method marks, they used correct comparative connectives, and they critically evaluated the limitations of the author's arguments. That, my friends, is how you execute the syllabus objectives perfectly under extreme pressure.
Simulation complete, operators. Great work today. Before you clock out, make sure you subscribe to Ace the Exams. Enable that notification bell and head down to the comments right now. Tell me, which is harder for you in Passage 1? Is it finding the 15 content marks, or is it securing those 5 language marks? Log your answers below, and I will see you on the radar grid for our next explainer. Keep your approaches steady and your language precise.